Thank you, Commissioner Minor. Commissioner Welch, would you care to weigh in before Commissioner Dozier and I take the next 3 hours?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to weigh in. I will reiterate what I have said before about this specific set of amendments. For me, I try not to focus on the things I don't know and focus on the things that I do. Okay? And so for me, we have a problem in Leon County with the supply of housing. That is a relatively simple observation to make, in my opinion. I'm a bit of a real estate nerd. I look at the real estate listings fairly regularly, very familiar with them in the Northeast in my part of the county. But I think that a lot of the prices that we see, a lot of the price restriction and the limitation on availability and all of those things, that is driven by lack of supply. And I think any realtor in the county would tell you we have a historical lack of real estate supply, which is driving these prices. It's driving a ripple effect through the market, whether it's rents or it's new start construction or existing home sales. It's a real problem, and that's a problem we know we have. Now, I can understand and sympathize with my colleagues who are concerned about expanding the urban services area and concerned about the precedent that set for us as a community in terms of how we grow and what we're prioritizing. But I think when you look at it pragmatically and you recognize that you have a historic housing shortage in Leon County, that is going to prevent a lot of people from buying a home, from gathering the equity that home ownership provides. It's going to create a lot of problems for the future. Now, we can debate how much we're growing or at what rate we're growing or whether we're growing, even though the data would suggest that we are and that we are going to need more housing. But to the extent that we need more housing, we may be able to debate. But to the extent that we know we don't have enough housing now, it's really not debatable. We don't have enough housing. Our housing market is very tight. And when I see a comp plan amendment like this, in which we are expanding the urban service area to adjacent areas where we have a national home builder who wants to come in and build at scale, who can access product at scale, again, we go back to the supply and demand issues that we're experiencing across this country, where we've gone through a pandemic and new housing starts have been substantially limited, and therefore you've got this pent up demand and you don't have any supply. And now you have a national home builder that wants to come into the south side of our county and invest in building homes where they can buy product in bulk. They can, as we've heard the gentleman say before, they can lock in rates. They can provide down payment assistance. They can buy 10,000 windows at a time when they're building these houses. And that provides a scale that will make houses more affordable in theory. And so I think when you take into account all of that information, which we can fairly certainly say we know is true, it trumps those things that we don't know. So again, I say we can't let what we don't know scare us from what we do know or taking action on what we do know. And we do know that we have a housing problem. And I think everybody in our community deserves the right to be able to buy a house. And I think that if we build more supply, be able to satisfy demand, and it will have a ripple effect across the market because people will be buying houses and then they will be opening up, that will open up rental units that they were previously living in. And so I can understand and sympathize with all the concerns about concurrency and traffic and schools, but I also trust that our staff has addressed those issues as they have said, and they feel like these are appropriate actions to take. And so I think it's a micro versus macro concern, and I certainly understand the folks who look at it from the micro perspective, but I feel like in the big picture, our county needs housing, and these expansions, these comp plan amendments will help facilitate the construction of new housing. So I will support them. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Very good.